Hey, everybody. How you doing? Welcome here. George, we're going to start with some words from George Jacobson.
Hi, my name is George Jacobson. I'm a retired faculty member, former director of the Institute, and I need to go to another meeting. So I just wanted to introduce myself. If you're interested in coming to an interesting, what I hope will be an interesting concert this Thursday night, please do over in the Minsky Recital Hall. But I just, before I leave, I want to make a couple of thank yous. Those of you who haven't met Paul Majewski, we'll meet him later in the session, but I just want to personally thank Paul for his wonderful years of leadership for over 20 years and the tremendous way that he helped our institute develop and grow and have a diversity of areas covered. And we'll have lots more to say about Paul, I'm sure, as time goes on here. But I also want to thank Dan Sandweiss for being willing to step in and be interim director now for the next period. And this is a critical time when we will be determining the nature of our future. And Dan's the perfect person to help lead that. And I'll do everything I can to support him and all of us in helping develop. So thank you all and have a nice meeting. I'm sorry I can't join you for pizza, but I can't. Yeah, come and see me then.
How many of you are at the Ice Age Breaker for the first time? Anybody? Excellent. This is good. This is for everybody, but particularly for those of you who don't know who's in the Institute and what we do. We started doing this a number of years ago, so you can have an idea of what the faculty do. We're going to hear what you do at the Bourne Symposium in much greater length in about 5 months, more or less, sometime in April, somewhere like that. Also, you'll have your chance to talk to us, but today we're going to give you flash presentations about who we are and what we work on. So if there are things that you need that we can help you with, you know who to go to. All right, let's see if this works. All right, so I'm gonna go through the slide pack for the introduction to CCI, but I do want to start by just reiterating what George said. Thank you to Paul for leading us for the last 23 years. We are bigger and better than we were when we started, and that's a really great thing. Big shoes to fill, which I don't think I can, but I'll be doing the best that I can. So, administration, currently I'm the interim director until June 30th, 2027. So it's good to have an endpoint. Jasmine, who's not here, is the associate director. Betty, are you here? Yes, Betty back there is the assistant director, and Becky is everything else for us. And we wouldn't have this event or the Bourne Symposium or many other things that we have if it weren't for Betty and Becky. So I would like you to thank them now. I've borrowed Paul's stack of slides. Thank you, Paul, for introducing the Institute. I don't think I can do it as well as you did yet. Maybe ever, but I'm going to give it a shot. We have a 50+ year legacy of exploration and discovery. We look at the past, we look at the present, we look at the present. No, I wish we did. I wish we'd do something about it. No, you didn't hear that. Don't record this. The present and the future. And it's not just monitoring and models. We also have people working on policy, which is critically important. The information that the Institute and others like us produce has to be used for something, and policy is the way that that information can be taken and made useful for the world today and in the future. We have new technologies, new software, new approaches. You may hear a little bit about it today, but we only get one slide. These are truly lightning talks, so you're not going to hear a huge amount from us. We have a lot of partners, which you see here, and sources of support. Some perhaps a little less than they were, but we still get money from all of these places, and we will get more in the future. We offer our students unique learning experiences. These are some of the recent places that people have gone. You can see the red dots are places where Institute has done research in recent years, and these are the ones with the lines are some of the student research. And I think this comes up later, but we do have 2 donor-supported funds to help you do summer research, particularly if it's your first time. We have a lot of partners. I'm not going to read through this whole list. All these slides are going to be posted, so if you want to read it, you can do that. These are the themes of the Institute and that relate us to the mission of the University of Maine. You can work your way through them. Again, take a look at this in the future. They're all overlapping because that's what interdisciplinary work is. Everything works together in one way or another. And the Institute was founded in 1972 by Hal Borns to be an explicitly and successfully interdisciplinary unit where people work together across borders and boundaries. That's what we do, and that's what has made the Institute great. And I would say that we've been ahead of the curve nationally on that from the very beginning. We've been one of the leaders in doing interdisciplinary work. Carl, can you say something? Carl, where's Carl? You're here. Would you say something about the UArctic student opportunities?
Sure. So the Arctic is a consortium of about 300 mostly educational institutions around the world, all focused on the Arctic, and they have a number of programs for students to be involved with it. So I won't take too much time, but if you're interested, this will be talking.
If you could briefly say something about the NRT program, since Jasmine isn't able to be here.
Oh, the NRT program is, well, you see their systems approaches to understanding and navigating the market, funded by NSF. I think they're in their 4th year, I wouldn't say. We have a number of students in the NRT program here. So, yeah, that's the program.
Super, thank you. So I did mention that we have 2 exploration funds, the Churchill Fund and the Sturgis Fund. Carl and I have been running the Churchill Fund since it started in 2005. And the Sturgis Fund is about 3 or 4 years old. So you'll see a call for proposals that will come out early in the spring semester with a couple of weeks to put your proposals together. I'll pay close attention to what we request and the format and the budget format and look at what we support or not. A new feature since last year is that if you don't have a source of summer support, you can dedicate a part of what the fund will give you. Either of these funds will give you if you're successful. You can devote some of it toward paying yourself a stipend, so it's more possible to go off and do the work and not be earning money at that time. It's not a lot, but apparently it's a help. We designed it to be helpful. And you can see the names of the 2 funds. When you're going in the field, whether it's with one of our grants or not, you need to fill out the Fieldwork Safety Communications template. It's on the website. If you don't know where it is, you can ask Becky or Betty to direct you to it. Again, I'm not going to read through all of this, but you need to fill that out. You need to think about a lot of things in order to be safe in the field. We don't want to lose any students or faculty. We haven't, and we don't intend to do that. Then the Bourne Symposium, which I mentioned previously, will take place sometime probably in the month of April. It goes on for about 24 hours, although you do get to go to sleep at night. We don't make you talk continuously, but it usually starts around noon one day and ends noon or early afternoon the next day. If you are a CCI affiliated student, then you must give a presentation. How many are first-year students? Okay, first-year students do posters, and second year and beyond do oral presentations. There'll be a poster session time, and then the oral presentations will run. They're about 10 minutes long. You get questions. It's a professional format, so it's really good practice for what you'll do as you move into the field, whatever part of what we do, whatever field you're going to be in. This is really good. It's, I think, one of the many reasons why our students tend to have really good outcomes when they finish and leave here or stay here. We have a lot of labs and facilities. There's a list here again. If you want to look at that list, this is all going to be posted. And it goes on. The Institute does a lot. We reach across campus in many different ways. If you need lab and building keys, for Sawyer, that's Mike Handley. And for this building, it's Becky Adesi. And for E3RB, that's Dan Dixon. So Dan, I think you have, where I know I saw you here. There he is. So now you know who to ask. Graduate program, we have 1 degree, 2 certificates, and many affiliated students. Our degree is the Master of Science in Quaternary and Climate Studies. How many of you are in that program? The MS, okay. Some of you who are here, good. The certificates, we have a live certificate, which apparently people had not been aware of for a while. So in order to be an affiliated student, whether you're in the Institute and in our master's program or an affiliated student from another program, you have to take 3 courses. That's ERS 542, Kirk teaches that class. INT/ANT 510, Greg, are you here? Yeah, Greg is here, and Jacqueline, are you here? Not here. They co-teach that course every other year. You have to take those 2. We used to have an INT 500 course that our students took on science communication. We've lost funding for that, but I will find you alternative courses, so come talk to me. If you're in the master's program, you have to do it. If you want to be affiliated with us and have access to things like the Bourne Symposium and the Summer Research Exploration Funds, you must become an affiliate, and you need to be working your way towards doing those courses. But once you complete them, you can apply for a certificate in interdisciplinary climate studies. It's free. It goes on your transcript. You get a nice little piece of paper, a nice diploma, and it tells people you know something about climate studies, which is good, regardless of what your degree may be. Affiliated students. So if you don't do those things, then and come here to this meeting and go to the Bournes unless you're out of town, then you stop being an affiliated student and have access to our resources. We have representatives for the graduate student government. Actually need to change that. We used to have a DEI committee. We don't now. We have a graduate committee, and Kenzie's going to say something about that in a bit. And we have the faculty, a representative to the faculty meetings. The first one is a week from today. I don't know that we have a representative. We used to have 3 RAs paid through the Institute, and one of them did each of these jobs. We don't at the moment have that many, but we do have a grad student government representative, and we have a grad committee person. We do need somebody to come to the faculty meeting, so if you are interested, come see me afterwards. And then finally, we have an online interdisciplinary climate science and adaptation certificate for students who are not here. It's been pretty robust with a lot of really interesting people doing it. And if you want to know more about that, let me know. Andre. I'm just going to explain all the tech features of being a part of the Institute.
I'd like to welcome you also to Climate Change Institute graduate program. So we traditionally have this module, and it started years ago, actually, where people were using Skype. So we would simply tell people that we have a Skype account. Obviously, most of you after pandemic know how to use Zoom, but a couple of comments. How often you guys send a Zoom invitation and never heard that this person never received it? The reason it happens, it's all about how your system works, if you're connected to it. So the bottom line is, if you schedule something on Zoom, always send an email with an invitation and add people to this email also. And the same way, if you got an email from somebody, please email back and confirm that you receive it, because it's really tricky nowadays. Quite often, all of these emails end up somewhere in a spam or another filter. So just make sure you don't create like emergency at the day of your meeting, if it's important for you, obviously. Google accounts. So we have tons of space on a Google Drive. And I think that's what's recommended. An idea here, if you have your personal folder, it belongs to you. If you create a shared drive, the idea for the shared drive is it kind of stays as a legacy. Let's say you have a project, you want to start with somebody, you add this shared drive users. Not clear yet how university is counting it, space. Usually it's like 100 gigs, I think, per person. It's a bit tricky. So just don't put this large radar surveys or large images there. Put something that, small and manageable, because you can end up with a large array of data and it's really hard to kind of manage it. Again, legacy data set, what that means is in a shared drive, let's say you add your advisor, you left University of Maine 6 months after they deactivate your account, a year after, I forgot how it works, you can check. And then you're basically losing all your data, right? So, but if you have a shared drive, it will stay with your advisor. So it's a good idea. And I also recommend use Google Drive as a backup when you're writing your dissertation. You put all your files there, so you're not going to lose it. So it's a kind of good free system. Calendar works pretty good also. We also use Google Groups, like you're getting these emails already. You're part of the Google Groups, and you can do the same. You can create Google Groups, share it with your Google Drive, so you're basically using it as a technology. UMaine software, this link, this folder will be shared. There's tons of software actually for free, goes through University of Maine. It doesn't have to be university computer. You can install it if you have access to your computer, like sort of privileges account, whatever. You should be able to do that. Eduroam is a really great system. If you're somewhere in Europe or another university, a lot of universities in the world sharing this. I was just in Germany and I was using Eduroam. I didn't even know, like I already got connected to this. It's pretty much instant. There is a little app that allows you on any phone, you can configure your Eduroam access for the phone. So you can go and figure out how to do it. It's pretty straightforward. IT support. Quite often you have a question that nobody can answer. So technically you can create a ticket and get support. They're pretty good. Give them some time and don't forget to thank them because that's usually a good idea. So CCI conference rooms, we have access to several rooms over the CCI and just request access or mention to Becky that, you know, you're going to be using this room and she'll tell you if it's already booked for some other event. It's really related to things like your defense or you're scheduling a meeting or something else. So we have also resources in the room, like they all equipped with some kind of microphones, shared webcams and things like this. And again, the point is whatever you do there, please put everything back the way it was. Like if you change ports, you change like input, output on this TV, just remember, not everybody is savvy like you. So just put it back the way it was. And again, if you don't know what you're doing, probably shouldn't do it. Ask Becky, she'll help you. Okay, couple of things we want to add here. If you go to this web portal now, they have this Notebook LM thing. And also there's another AI-based system. So if you use it for University of Maine, what actually happens, university has a firewall. So your data don't actually go to this public pool of sort of data that they use for data mining or training their other data sets. So you decide if it's good or bad, but it gives you some sense of privacy, which is you shouldn't probably expect anymore anywhere in the world. But at least that's kind of something you can try. So I play with this a little bit. It's not bad, so you can try it. And in this notebook thing, you can access to different like large language models, so you can play with this. So it's basically some of these icons. If you poke around and put your cursor over this, it will show you what it is. UMS Academy, that's another thing. It's part of how universities operating right now. So suddenly you become like, you know, employer at the university, and they're adding you to this bunch of training videos. And I actually, for a couple of years, I didn't know it. I didn't take anything. Seems like I got away with this. But then I had a deadline in one of the proposals, and I couldn't actually submit anything because one of the training wasn't really like, I didn't take it, and it was putting a red flag somewhere in the system. So you could take all these videos, you know, over a weekend and forget about this. So I strongly encourage you to do that. And if you go now, I guarantee you, most of you will have like 5 or 6 training videos. Some of them quite useful and actually very good. Some of them just the traditional sort of basic stuff that you need to know anyway. So I say go and take it and forget about this. What else? Graduate student handbook. I think it's gonna go later. Yep. I don't think I'm saying anything after that. Yeah, we're good.
Thank you very much. Yes, have a good.
Hi. So I'm Kenzie or Mackenzie. I'm a second year master's student in the Institute, and I'm also the co-leader of the graduate student committee at CCI. This is my second year doing this, and I just wanted to talk about what we did last year and then something that I need everybody to do sometime during this meeting or afterwards, please. So last year we finally finished the graduate student handbook. It is now on the CCI student website. You can go when you get this presentation, you can just click this link and go to it. Otherwise, if you go to the CCI website, it's under, I think like graduate education, and then you go to student resources, and there'll be a link to the handbook on the website. And basically everything in here, and I can pass this around too, is everything you might possibly need during your graduate career. So resources for mental health or Title IX, those sort of things. Anything about the Bourne Symposium is also in here. Anything to submit paperwork for field work, resources for other professors. Everything is inside this handbook. And it's a great resources for while you're here. So if you ever have any questions related to the department or things that you need to get done or credits that you need, they can all be answered in here. So I can pass this around if everybody wants to look at it. This, yeah. And then the next thing that before you all leave this meeting today, I had a survey paper going around. You might have it somewhere around here, but I would love if you could fill this out just because it helps our committee figure out what we're going to do for the next year. Scheduling and seeing what you as grad students and the faculty want to see from the committee and how we can make our community stronger and be impactful together and see what you want to get out of this institute, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you are going to be graduating and going into careers or going into further education, and how can we help you achieve that? So please, if you have this paper, and I'll send this one around as well, please fill this out sometime during the meeting or afterwards during the pizza party.
Thank you. Come back. Come back.
We will say it's intentional to get your attention. So a website. Betty is managing CCI website, and if you want to change something, you can email her and suggest something that will work, or doesn't mean we're going to change it, but at least you can email. Expedition report. So if you found that you're required to submit expedition report, it also goes to the website. I'll show you example in a moment. And also if you have some news you want to share with the community, like you publish a paper, you're going somewhere to the meeting, technically it could be done as a meeting abstract. So it's a good idea. And just take a look on existing news and see what was posted before, so you will get an idea what sort of we were looking for, right? And for the personal website, technically you can actually manage your own website. So you need to go and take a class and training. It's about 2 hours, how you actually deal with university websites. And then they will create a login name for you. So you email this login name in a separate system to Betty, and she will be able to change your account. So when you actually in this, your personal site, like this is an example, you will be able to manage it. So you basically go through this university system, and you can only do it while you're in a university network. So you either can use VPN when you do it from home, or you can just be here on campus when you're making these changes. But you don't have to do it also. You can just email all these changes to Betty and she will update it. So one thing we recommend lately, we do it also in Earth and Climate Sciences, that we recommend you actually to create your ORCID page, because ORCID has like one unique ID that basically like a DOI that resolves to your personal scientific page in the universe. And you can actually, when people click on more about me or something, it actually will take you to ORCID page. Beauty of it, you can do it once. It automatically populates from your published papers because they talk to each other, the systems. And also you can use it in the future. When you leave the CCI, you can continue maintain this page. So all your effort you put into the site actually will stay there. Be careful what you're sharing. Like I wouldn't personally sharing my cell phone on this website, but you can share your like university email or something else. So just little advice. And I think that's it. This is pretty much it. And this is example of a news items. And I think next will be example of expeditions. Yeah. So you can go to the website and see what's sort of expected before you go to expedition. and you will be able to create a similar content. Okay, I think next is.
Thank you again. We'll give you another hand. And it's all part of our master plan. Catch your attention. Now, you may have, first of all, I want to point out, I've said before, introduced you to Betty and Becky. All, they are critically important to keeping the Institute running. I think we're going to go into the talks next. I'll just mention, how many of you have been at a Bourne Symposium before? So you know what I do at Bourne Symposium, right? For the talks. Oh, you may be surprised that I've made no puns today. I'm saving them up for the Bournes, although there might be a visual one in my own lightning talk coming up today. But now we're going to get to the part that we really want. I'm going to ask, you all should have the list. So I'm going to ask people to come up, and then when you finish, go to the next slide and then leave for the next person to come up, and we'll just do it in order. It's all one PDF, so it should just go through very smoothly. Oh, I apologize. We'll just leave this up for you. You can leave support to.
Time and I've just been exhausted. So
There are
sorry,
people without slides.
I don't have slides. I'm Danielle Levesque. I'm in biology and ecology, and I'm an oddball here because I study animals and not climate necessarily. But in my lab, we do mostly mammalian ecophysiology, but we've been getting into more kind of mechanistic modeling type things. So I've been thinking a lot about how climate impacts animals and also how to get microclimate data from big climate data sets. So I feel like I might be useful if anybody's interested in thinking about animals when it comes to climate. I'm not teaching it this year, but usually every second spring. So next year I do have a graduate class that's on animals and climate change, and we go through physiology of temperature in a way that is probably useful potentially to some of you. And that's about it. You'll see my students' work for currently in Malaysian Borneo, where it's nice and hot, at the Bourne Symposium. So that's it.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Dominic Winsky, and so my job here at the Climate Change Institute is as a researcher. I study ice cores and I use the ice cores to learn about past climate. And so most of my research looks at the last 10,000 years or so of Earth's history and how climate has changed, and sort of looking at the interaction between global scale climate forcing and then regional response, particularly in areas like the polar regions, Antarctica and Alaska. So right now, a lot of my focus is in the Alaska region, looking at glaciology and what that can tell us, what we can learn from the ice about things like temperature changes in the summer, winter snowfall regime, wildfire changes. And then I've also increasingly been bringing the work back home to do education and outreach back where I'm from in Eastern Maine. And so if any of you have any interest in, say, past climate or ice core research, please get in touch with me. Nowadays, I'm also mostly spending my time doing teaching. And so if you are interested in that line of work too, then talk to me. And I also apologize, I'm not going to be around for pizza because I have to go teach these classes like imminently. So I will scoot out now, but please kind of get in contact with me if you want to talk about ice or climate or anything like that. Thanks.
Sean.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sean Burkle. I'm an assistant professor here, the joint appointment between the Climate Change Institute and Cooperative Extension. And I'm also the Maine State climatologist. And many or most of you are familiar with Climate Reanalyzer, which is among my research interests, is developing data visualization products. And my research interests in terms of the climate system is large-scale variability, particularly with the North Atlantic and Arctic, and how it relates to Maine. And as the state climatologist, I provide climate services, and that entails both the weather and climate timescale, providing climate and weather data sets, interpretation to help facilitate decision-making. And I'm on a number of NSF projects as well, and serving on the Maine Climate Council Science and Technical Subcommittee. And a recent project that I'm getting into monitoring, not just climate modeling, but now getting into the realm of climate monitoring through a new federally funded project that has support from Senators Collins and King to build a statewide research-grade weather station network. 26 stations in support of agriculture and forestry. And the project team includes collaborators in Extension and School of Biology and Ecology. We recently hired a Mesonet manager who'll be leading the setup of these stations. The photograph at the right shows the first 2 stations that we installed just last week at 2 ag and forestry experimentation stations that UMaine operates in Jonesboro and also in Monmouth. These are 10-meter tower stations and have common meteorological observations, including soil temperature, moisture temperature, and the observations from this will feed into the National Weather Service to improve forecasting, but also into agricultural data products for that growers can use and ag researchers. And thank you very much.
And next up is Sean Campbell, who is online and will speak to us. You have his slide here. I'm going to see if I can. There we go. Okay. All yours.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Seth Campbell here. I am a associate professor with a joint appointment between the Climate Change Institute and the School of Earth and Climate Sciences. My job at UMaine entails a mix of teaching some courses. I teach a cross-listed intro to geophysics class for undergrads and grad students. So hopefully I see some of you in that course. I also started teaching proposal writing last year, and that's been a fun addition to my course load as well. Dan, can you hear me?
Seth, you're breaking up, so we're getting about every other word.
Oh, okay. Is this better? I'm not sure what I can do about that.
It's still breaking up, I'm afraid.
How is this? Is that better?
A little bit.
Okay, well.
Start again if this works.
Yeah, so my name is Seth Campbell. I'm a associate professor. Is that sounding a little better?
I think, and unless you have a different way to connect, we may have to ask you to record it and we'll send it out to students and
That
insert
sounds
it
good.
into
Let's
this
do that,
recording,
Dan.
if that's all right.
No problem. Sounds good. We'll just do that.
All right, sorry about that.
That's okay.
We'll move on to the next. All right, Dan. There we go.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Dan Dixon. I'm the Director of the Office of Sustainability here at the University of Maine. I work with basically all different folks on campus, students, faculty, staff, administrators, facilities. I also work with the local town, regional groups like Bangor and the other local towns. Also work with state representatives and some national groups as well. So a lot of my work has overlap with the themes of the Climate Change Institute, and my sustainability director position is 9 months. So I have 3 months off in the summer when I can do research and get involved with CCI activities. So just this year, I spent 2 weeks in Iceland with the Sea to Sky experience. And as a part of that trip, I built 2 instruments, an albedometer and an energy system for the gas scouter. Then after that, I spent a month in Alaska and supported several research groups there, drilling ice cores and traveling around the Juneau ice field. So, and also I recently built a lightweight thermal drill up in the top left here that I'm hopefully going to use in the field with one of Paul's expeditions in New Zealand. So I'm doing a lot of stuff, and yeah, kind of like Dom, if anything to do with ice cores and paleoclimate and ice core chemistry, come talk to me. And then also anything to do with drilling and building equipment, then I'm your man.
So we'll just leave this up. Brenda, you're next.
Right, I don't have any slides either. So I'm Brenda Hall. I'm a professor in the Climate Change Institute and Earth and Climate Sciences. I'm a glacial geologist and geochronologist. So I do a lot of work using glacial deposits to try to reconstruct past climate changes. And I also direct the UMaine Cosmogenic Isotope Laboratory and do a lot of work both with that, with radiocarbon and uranium thorium dating. So I cover several of the large chronological issues. So if you have questions about various dating methods, I'm probably someone who can help you with that. We do a lot of work primarily in the Southern Hemisphere. I work a lot in South America and Antarctica, but I also have projects going on in Maine. And so if you're doing work in any of those areas and need information about the glacial history, I may be able to provide some information. I teach 3 classes, Glaciers in Our Landscape, which is taught every fall. It has a graduate section. I also teach a quaternary class in which we look at the various paleoclimate records and some of the major problems in our field of quaternary science. And then on every other year basis, I teach just like a 1-credit discussion where we sit around and talk about really neat papers. So thank you.
Thanks, Cindy Eisenhower.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cindy Eisenhower. I am a professor of anthropology and climate change with a joint appointment. I'm trained as an economic and environmental anthropologist. So in the broadest sense, I look at policies designed to help us more sustainably use and distribute materials. So a lot of my work is categorized in the field of sustainable systems of consumption and production. I teach 2 classes that might be of relevance to some of you. I teach the human dimensions of climate change, which some of the people are in right now. I teach it in a full semester offering every other fall. And this is an odd fall, so every other odd fall. And then I also teach it in a summer term, asynchronously and online for the climate certificate in the summer. I have 4 research projects that are currently active that are related all to materials reduction and use that I'll tell you a little bit about. So the first one, I work at the international, national, and local level. Internationally, I do work at the UNFCCC, looking at the global stock take and different methods for accounting for emissions that take embodied energy and resource flows into account. At the national level, I have a grant funded by the Environmental Education and Research Foundation, ERF, that's focused on extended producer responsibility for packaging. And this is basically the idea, as was passed here in Maine, that producers should bear the cost of end-of-life care for packaging. Oh, I'm already out of time. Oh my gosh, I set my own alarm. So that one's funded by ERF, and it's really exciting because those extended producer responsibility legislation is rolling out all over the United States right now. Big impacts for plastic and what plastic means for climate mitigation. The last 2 are local, both based in Maine. One is on the problem of disposability, and it's funded by a NOAA Marine Debris Grant and the state of Maine DEP. We're going to be running awesome pilot projects for reusable takeout food packaging containers in 3 different municipalities in Maine, starting in January. And then finally, I have a grant through the Mitchell Center to establish a Maine materials exchange network among Maine manufacturers. And we've got some big partners on board for that, including the Maine Manufacturers Association. So that's kicking off now. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Should have a slide. Oh, I went too far. There we go.
There you go. Okay, thanks, Dan. Hi, everyone. I'm Carl Kreutz. I'm a professor in the Climate Change Institute, also in Earth and Climate Sciences. And for a while longer anyway, I'm the director of the school. So if you have any questions about Earth and Climate Sciences, I'd be happy to answer them. I've been here about 26 years, and most of that time, my research has been involved in Earth history, understanding Earth history in one way or the other. I've used a lot of different proxies, but ice cores are still a major part of my work. So the things that, like, type of things that Dom and Dan were talking about, are all, I'm still active in those areas. I do a lot of teaching these days. a lot through Earth and Climate Sciences, mostly focused on research experiences for undergraduates, both at the incoming cohort, but also with our capstone level. So Dan showed a picture of the sea to sky experience. That's another picture there from Iceland. We had spectacular weather. In May, it was a great trip, but we do that every year. I'm working with the Honors College now on a new honors course in Arctic water security, and that's got me excited. And I do a lot of work through DLL with large online classes. Research passion now though, and looking forward, is I'm really doubling down on water science. I find what's happening with our water cycle right now to be incredibly important and interesting. And so I don't know if Duggan is Cap here. I don't see him. Also Mike Handley. They both run laboratories here in CCI. And so together we're doing a lot of work studying the modern water cycle. And we have an awesome, particularly isotope hydrology lab. So please come and check it out if that's of interest to you. So thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrei Kurbatov. So I'm affiliated also with School of Earth and Climate Sciences, but my main home is obviously Climate Change Institute. And over the years, I work pretty much with everybody here who does ice cores. And I listed here 2 projects we currently have right now. One of them is, we just got funded, Carl is leading it, with Seth Campbell and also Don Winsky. And another one is a Coldex. So the Coldex started actually years ago when Paul did some work with Molten, first blue ice area. Then we kind of switched to Allen Hills. This is like paper probably 10 years ago where we actually suggested that if we drill in Allen Hills, we can find million years old records. So Europeans now just got like a beyond epic old site core that they just reached this goal this year. Obviously funding a little tricky now, but Coldex actually in next round that we're not part of, I think, for the Coldex 2 probably will be targeting this site that's here. But Coldex actually has a lot of opportunities for grad students. So if you actually go to Coldex website, you can find your way to participate. They have a lot of activities, meetings they're funding, same for undergraduates. So I recommend everybody to kind of pay attention to this because it's one of the oldest ice now coming from Allen Hills area. I think the latest was like 7 million years old. So we beyond like Pleistocene there, right? So another big thing I really like to do, it's a role of volcanism. So this picture showing basically what happened during the Pinatubo, that's a recent thing. So nobody really knows, at least from my perspective, what happened like in the prehistorical times. It's really tricky. More we learn about this role of volcanism in a climate system, more tricky it seems like it gets. Like recent discovery, I don't know if you heard of it, that basically water is a major player. And that's a kind of an interesting. So usually the way I work, I look for these really tiny particles on the right. And we have a now also grant that allows us to go sort of organize the data in the Tephra, because latest big thing is basically everybody has data produced in all of these different places, but seems like people not sharing them well. And I work with Columbia and also Concord University. And we're trying to put together this sort of US-based Tephra database, but it will link like with all European systems as well, and generally a couple of other global systems. So in the future, if you have some Tephra question ideas, you go into this TIP database, TIP, and you get sort of a right direction where to go about your Tephra study. And my latest thing is IceSpec. That's a kind of, I named this system this way. It's a hyperspectral imaging system for ice cores. And nobody has anything like this actually. So this is just an example one of my students put together. And what basically system does, it's what any other line scan camera was doing in the past, plus. Plus meaning we can actually identify features like ash layers and map them and get a fingerprint. So it's really exciting. Not a lot of development on it because it sort of gets into this realm of transparent sort of optical media like ice. And nobody really knows how to deal with this. So a lot of remote sensing was done in like water bodies. So we kind of deeping into these systems and we're trying to understand what we could do. So it's really exciting. A lot of new data sets coming. We had to pretty much build everything from processing to storage, and we're getting there. And I'll stop here. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, I'm Matt Mignani. I'm an assistant professor in anthropology with a joint appointment in the Climate Change Institute. And I'm running on fumes, but so I work in the Arctic regions of Sapmi, which is in northern Scandinavia, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and parts of the Kola Peninsula in Russia. And I've been working up there for over a decade. And I'm really interested as original training in archaeology and anthropological archaeology in the stuff that people make and use. So in Sapmi, where I work with the indigenous Sami, you could see an image of me dragging a reindeer off to its impending doom in the lower left-hand corner. And I'm really interested to see how the stuff that people make out of reindeer, this is just one example, right? It carries over to trees and cloth and all kinds of different materials that you could make and produce from your local environments, right? But I'm curious about how things like politics, state incursions, climate change influence the stuff that people make. So to give you an example, a reindeer, right? We know that the Finnish government, in all of their infinite wisdom, places constrictions on how reindeer herds are managed. This influences, right, how many, for instance, the herd profile. So there might be like not as many male reindeer as there were in the past. Now, right, this is aggravated by climate change because with changing freeze-thaw cycles, right, they can't break through the ice layers that are forming during the winter with such, with efficacy. On the other hand, right, so all of this material culture was also distributed all around the world through histories of collecting, colonization, and so on. So I work very actively developing community-based methodologies and digital techniques to bring all the stuff that's in institutions like the Smithsonian or all over the world back into dialogue with Sami communities, right? Because this stuff is actually important because it attests to these kind of coping mechanisms with local environments that are changing. And so, yeah, so I use a bunch of different digital techniques like photogrammetry, which has a lot of overlap with things that you guys do in the room, laser scanning, and I'm getting more into computational methodologies where we're looking at giant data sets, right? Because the Smithsonian has like millions of things in it, right? And billions of records. And if we zoom out and understand that on a really large scale, we can say something about these communities and the way they interact with environments and each other over time. So yeah, thanks. Look forward to meeting some of you and all of you. Okay.
My name is Paul Majewski. I've stood up here many times before. Up until 2 weeks ago, I was the director for 24 years. My primary academic affiliation, School of Earth and Climate Sciences, but being a big believer in interdisciplinary things, I'm also associated with the School of Marine Sciences, School of Policy and International Affairs, the Business School, and the Law School. I'm involved in teaching 2 courses each year. One is complex problem solving that we offer remotely from Portland. And the other is primarily through the law school, Arctic Law, Science and Policy, which I encourage you to be involved in. I'm a glaciologist and a climate scientist, and I'll talk really just about my research very quickly here. I work with a tremendous number of partners, many of you in the room, faculty, graduate students, staff, technicians, and many other universities. The red circles show you the places that I have worked over many decades and continue to today. Next week, we leave for a month in Nepal to drill an ice core. It's an association with graduate students and postdocs at University of Utrecht, obviously the University of Maine, and also the University of Rennes in France. In the spring, we'll be going back to the New Zealand Alps to do the same sort of thing, and then this coming summer, we'll be sailing around the coast of Greenland, collecting water samples to look at changes in air quality. How do we get there? We get there in all different ways. Most recently, I've been chartering a large sailboat that takes about 8 of us all together, and being able to get in and out of places in the Southern Ocean and also along the coast of Greenland. When we've been doing all these things, as I mentioned, in the last 5 years, our funding comes primarily from the National Science Foundation. We depend heavily on Climate Reanalyzer, and that's the answer to why here, because Climate Reanalyzer allows us to understand what's going on in the present climate. It allows us, when we collect ice cores, which are one of the primary things that I have been involved in for many decades, it allows us to calibrate the upper portions of these records and relate them to modern records for temperature, precipitation, changes in air chemistry, and then to do what I think is one of the most important things we need to do is to come up with a better, reduce the uncertainty and come up with better predictions for future climate. It's going to do an awful lot more than 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit by 2100. We'll be lucky if it does 2.5. And the differences from region to region, we already know from the Arctic, are very dramatic. So it's extremely important for us to be able to make better predictions. Climate is operating faster than we ever thought it would before, although 30 years ago, we discovered abrupt climate change and predicted that this would happen. Unfortunately, we didn't know exactly when, but it did happen in the Arctic, and it will happen in other places. Climate change, despite what one hears from some places, is with us. It will have a dramatic impact, and everything that you get to do in your careers will be impacted one way or another with climate change. And there will be, although it may not look so at the moment, tremendous opportunities for the future. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Greg Zara. I'm an archaeologist, and I have a joint appointment in anthropology and the Climate Change Institute. In my former life, my training was in Central and South America, and it was fairly old-fashioned dirt archaeology focused on urban landscapes, agricultural landscapes. And over the last 12 years or so, I shifted focus to the Mediterranean with a strong interest in contemporary processes of urbanization. So a lot of this is driven by 2007 reports from the United Nations World Urbanization Reports that identified 2007 as being a real key milestone year in human history, where 50% of the global human population is urbanized. And that number is projected to increase to about 2/3 by 2050. So I thought it would be interesting as an archaeologist to try to characterize what that transition looks like, because we all in this room can think about deep time perspectives in ways that I think the general public does not, right? We're kind of stuck with our grandparents' generation, maybe great-grandparents' generation, but to think about centuries to the past or millennia into the past of human history and prehistory, and to look at the pace of change today is really what is phenomenal. It's very striking to see the pace of change across the 20th century. So what I want to do archaeologically is we're looking at old Mediterranean cities, and this is the example we started with, is the city of Zadar in Croatia. It's a 3,000-year-old city that for most of its history was an old fortified center, which is this little peninsular part sticking out here, surrounded by a green space, an agricultural landscape of dry stone walls and terraces, groves. And we have records going back several thousand years supporting what was initially an Iron Age hill fort, a Roman colony, a medieval town center, a Venetian stronghold, and now a very contemporary commercial center on the coast of the Adriatic. But what we see in a variety of different creative ways, we use aerial photographs from World War II prior to this urban expansion. We use cadastral records from the 1800s that show the organization of agricultural space outside of the city. We can track that pace of change into the contemporary era. So we have photographs at the top, Royal Air Force from 1944 that showcase Roman land surveying grids. So you can see the real rectangular lines on there. The quadrangular lines are from 2,000 years ago of Roman survey. We see some of that still embedded in the street layout of Zadar today. All of those shady lines, those organic matrix, is all an organic matrix of dry stone walls and terraces. We see some of those in preserved patches with all derelict architecture. But all of this can be part of a resilient planning for the future to help out mitigating storm surge or intense precipitation events. Maintaining green space is important for heat island effect that's intensifying in the next century. So we're looking at a lot of these issues across the Mediterranean now, expanding beyond Zadar to see if we can identify what we're calling green heritage. And from an archaeological standpoint, maybe trying to assign more value and importance to it to the general public for its protection for other kinds of mitigating factors like climate change. So hopefully putting archaeology to work in the contemporary era. Thank you.
Well, hello, everyone. My name's Ivan Fernandez. I'm a professor emeritus as of 2 years ago, after 40 years of being the other kind of professor, and a research scientist. Excuse me. My training and my career has been involved as a soil scientist and a biogeochemist. In my day job, I did a lot with long-term whole ecosystem manipulations, oftentimes watersheds, establishing a number of them here in the state to look at the impacts of air pollution and climate change on ecosystem function, and of course the soils. One of the things that I spend a lot of my time on in recent years and have increasingly over the last 20 years has to do with how climate change is addressed in the state of Maine. And I knew I'd be able to show one slide, so this is shameless promotion of some of the reports and documents that relate to the Maine Climate Council here in the state and the activities that it carries out. Whether you grew up in Maine or whether you grew up on another continent, we're all living in Maine. And I think what Maine has been involved in is a really interesting and admirable subnational effort to address climate change and use the very best science in carrying that out. So these will be in the slides, of course. The council itself is a 39-member council. I'm one of the 2 scientists that are on the council. There are 2 scientists by law. And I co-chair the scientific and technical subcommittee, and people like Sean and Cindy and others are involved. 45 scientists, roughly 45 scientists from the state of Maine, world-renowned for their science, but also experts on the science and how it applies to the decisions that we make here in Maine. On the left are 2 major science assessments that the Scientific and Technical Subcommittee carried out. I'm the co-chair of the Scientific and Technical Subcommittee, and some of these folks, and about half of it, are University of Maine scientists. I should say prior to this, this is the most recent science, but here at the Institute, we began to lead with science assessments for the state of Maine back in 2009. And you can find on the Institute's website, Maine Climate Futures from 2009, 2015 and 2020, and Paul and Sean and others were involved in those as well. I'm also on the Natural and Working Lands Working Group. There are 6 working groups that support the work of the council, and that deals with agriculture and forestry, et cetera. And as an offshoot of that, I'm part of a small group here at the university with a few partners at other institutions in the state that puts together the state carbon budget. And we did the first carbon budget, I don't know, 4 years ago. And we did version 2 last year. And the state carbon budget is essential in order to be able to track our progress towards carbon neutrality as a state. So that sales pitch is just to say there's some really interesting work going on here in the state. There's lots of websites. That website will lead you to the other websites that can take you to the science and to the policy initiatives. All of you are living with, if you're living in the state of Maine, aspects and consequences of the decisions that are being made. All of you can be part of that. All of you are part of that in the work that you do, whether you are mindful of what those connections are. And I encourage you to take a look at that just to have an understanding of the work being done and to see where your science, where your activities contribute. If you have any questions about it, by all means, reach out to me, and I will put you in contact with the people that can help you. Thanks.
I don't want to stand in the way of you and pizza, but if there are any faculty members here who didn't have a chance to stand in slides and would like to briefly introduce themselves, this is an opportunity. Kirk.
Become a space cadet. I thought I put my RSVP in, but I didn't. I'm Kirk Mosh. I have a joint appointment in Climate Change Institute and Earth and Climate Sciences. I teach a couple of classes. If I haven't seen you in ERS 542 yet, I will when your turn comes. That is Atmosphere, Ocean, Ice, and Climate Change. It's a fun class. You'll have a good time. I hope those that took it will tell you that. I've done work with just about everyone across the board in the Institute over the years. I'm an atmospheric scientist. We don't have a meteorology program here, but the classes that are taught on meteorology are mine. Besides my graduate course, I really enjoy teaching 2 undergraduate courses. One is called the Atmosphere. It's a baby meteorology class. And the other one, which has become my favorite, is extreme weather. Extreme weather has become very popular these days, or unpopular as the case may be. So if you have questions related to atmospheric related topics and things of that sort, I could be a resource for you, and I'm more than willing to. The University of Maine in 2009, thanks to Paul, joined UCAR, which is the University Corporation for Atmospheric Research. And I have been the academic representative from the University of Maine to UCAR over all these years. And I just got back the week before last from the annual members meeting in Boulder. That's one of the perks of being the rep, is you get to go to Boulder every year, which is fun. And UCAR is an extremely valuable resource. The things that they produce could be of use. And some of you know about it. If you don't, I'll just highlight a couple of the things that they have available. In terms of high performance computing, they're a world leader in development of climate models that are community climate models and accessible to any of you. And you can get time on the supercomputer. If you're a graduate student, you're entitled to a small allotment, and Sean also knows all about how to do this as well. You can get time to do it. There's another program that's called UCAR Community Programs, which is across the board, everything that you might or might not know about atmospheric science and things related to it. And some of the resources include workshops that you can apply for, fellowships, including a postdoctoral fellowship that is partnered between NCAR and NOAA. And also they have education modules through a program called COMET. And I could go on and on about it. But if you're interested in any of those topics or resources, I encourage you to look at the UCAR website and also come to me for any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. I'm not missing anybody? Okay. So I'm Dan Sandweiss. I'm the Lieber Professor of Anthropology and Climate Studies. I have a couple other things, and I am, for my sins, the interim director of the Institute at the moment. But really, I'm an archaeologist. I do ancient maritime adaptations and climate archaeology, mainly on the coast of Peru. Oh dear, this is not working well, but there we go. There's climate and culture in ancient Peru, all place where we found some interesting things. Underneath the archaeology, we found an interesting climate record. I study El Nino particularly. There's my one. For those who speak Spanish, that's my visual pun. This is evidence of El Nino that we found in 2006 with Alice and Joe Kelly, their kids, and a couple other folks on the north coast of Peru, just washed up on the beach. El Nino is everywhere. As I said, I study ancient maritime adaptations, how people used the ocean in the past. I'm involved in intercontinental archaeological practice, not only because I do work in on another continent. If you're from here, if you're from Latin America, then the Americas are all one continent, but I do my research in Peru, mainly a little bit in Chile. I'm also involved at the moment in the Society for American Archaeology's intergovernmental, International Government Affairs Committee, get that right. So we help archaeologists from other countries, if we can, in promoting the things that they're trying to do and helping to mitigate the risks that their sites are facing. And I have become involved over the last 5 or 6 years, along with Kirk and our students, with equity in archaeological practice. We did a course, an online graduate course. At least one person in the room or two were part of that. All 3, maybe. Some of you were. It was a great course. It was mainly run by the students who organized it well. It was so much fun that we kept working as a writing group, and I think we just sent in, our 4th or 5th paper, just last week. It's been a very successful collaboration to promote equity in archaeological practice. I think that might be it. So it's time for me to climb up and time for you to have pizza. Thank you.